Good morning, Nick.
Morning. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. I'm feeling betrayed by your outfit. Otherwise, I'm fine. Morning. I was about to say morning, everyone, but this reminded me of somebody. Welcome to this is the
Fifth episode.
episode of Boldcast, and I think we've been having a great time. Today we're going to talk about something that everybody, I think everyone in my circle, everyone I know has spoken about, but in closed spaces, we're going to talk about the pressure to perform, societal expectations, right? Yeah, that's like something that everybody suffers with, but really can't voice out because sometimes it's deemed normal. So yeah.
Imagine how many decisions have been made, how many marriages have been formed, how many people are in the wrong careers, wrong spaces, all because they try to fit in and try to live up to the expectations of society. And imagine how many people are chasing the wrong dream because of how society has defined success, or how society has defined what a real woman should look like, or what a real man should look like. And we've all been affected by that.
So these are like over different I began with my hands, like different settings in society. It could be marriage. A woman is expected to be married at such and such an age. They're supposed to have kids. They're supposed to be this, they're supposed to do that. A man should provide, or he should what a man's supposed to do.
They're supposed to be macho, they're supposed to be aggressive. They're supposed to be, society has put a lot of definitions.
It's funny though, because even when society has done all this and people try to change, I feel like there's always a fight to take people back to the norm. So for the most part of my growing up, I knew that men are supposed to be the providers, women are supposed to be the homekeepers. But when living in the 21st century, and then women have stepped out, they're more career focused, career minded, they're all about themselves, and still that doesn't sit well with society. So I really don't know what should society expect from any human being. What should a human being give back to society? Who should they live for? Should they live for society? Should they live for their family? Should they live for their friends, their kids, or should they just live for themselves? Yeah.
All right. And yesterday I was reading something, an extract from a book written by a professor of sociology, and he was talking about some of the things the impact that societal pressure has. And I love one statement that he said. He said it's these same definitions that society has created that gives birth to things like the patriarchy. And I love what he says about the patriarchy. He says the patriarchy is not a gender; it's a society.
No, yeah. Because when most people hear feminists screaming "smash the patriarchy," it's usually men associated. But it's society. It's everybody is part of the patriarchy. It's women, it's girls, it's boys, it's men, it's everyone really that are part of the patriarchy. It's really society. Yeah.
And we're going to talk about the impact that it has. I'll talk from the man's perspective. What impact societal pressure has on men. But I feel like the biggest victims of societal pressure are the women. So there's so many definitions that are created concerning what a woman should be, how a woman should act, what a woman should achieve,
what a woman should do,
how
she should speak.
So Theo will talk about the impact of societal pressure on women and some of the expectations that are out there concerning women. What's that with you?
Okay, cool. Well, from my own point, growing up, I always just decided I wanted to be unorthodox. I didn't want to be put in a box, because that's what society does. Society will put you in a box and label it, and then you're expected to do all the things that box holds, So I found out that I wasn't made, or I wasn't created to be put in a box. I'm just I'm like the wind. I should just be free, you know. And then I grew up in a society where, as a child, a girl should do this, a girl should do that. I grew up wearing shorts most of the times, and then an auntie visited and she said, no, you're 14, you shouldn't be wearing shorts. You're now a big girl. So now they have to change how I dress. Then girls don't sit like this. You have to put your legs together. From childhood. You talk too loud. Apparently, my voice is too loud. I laugh too loud. And throughout the growing up, one thing that is attached to all these things that I should be is marriage. You talk too loud. Girls shouldn't talk like that. Men will not like that. You wear too short. You wear shorts. Men will not like that. So, growing up as a girl in that society was everything I do is attached to the ultimate goal, which was supposed to be marriage. You know. Even if you go to school and do you try to achieve anything, at some point you're supposed to achieve less than
don't outdo the guy.
Yes, don't outdo the guy.
Man,
so
you know.
if Nick comes home with good results, it's expected. It's Nick. He's a guy, you know. But if I do that, okay, it's fine. But degree or diploma or masters, you know. And I see it even these days on social media. I see women telling other women, a master's degree won't marry you. And then, okay, so wait, what? An achievement as a woman should be attached to marriage, you know? Not saying that marriage is a bad thing, but why are we brought up in such a way that everything we do should be attached to that ultimate achievement, which should be marriage, you know? And I think at the end of the day, you will find women actually rebelling against this. And these are the women you call uncultured or whatever. Because at the end of the day, if she wants to get married, let her get married because she wants to get married. She shouldn't be married. She shouldn't get married because that is the ultimate achievement, you know? You go to school, no matter how much you do as a woman, no matter how much you achieve, you have the masters, everything, and then at the end of the day, the first question people will ask you is she even married? You know, she speaks like this because she doesn't have a man. One of the worst forms that I hate of degradation, especially on social media, is when a woman speaks out and she's assertive and she's achieved everything she could as a woman, and then somebody will come and say, oh no, she just needs good pipe. That's why she's so outspoken. If she got laid, you know, she wouldn't be so outspoken. Like, there's so much pressure on a woman. You achieve and still it won't be good enough. There are women who have gotten married just because their family wants to get them married, wants them to get married. I've seen those. Like, it's I don't know how many years later, and somebody is talking about how they regret that they got married. Why? No, my family wanted me to get married. Okay, kids. I thought I was going to hit 30, and then my biological clock was ticking. Afraid of what society will say about a woman over 30 with no kids. You know, why?
That's a common one.
Yeah, why are you getting into these situations that you don't want to be in? Because society wants you to do it. Like, whose life is it at the end of the day? Is it yours? Is it mine? Is it society's? Who are you living for? Yeah.
As if getting married at 35 or 40 is some kind of taboo. As if building a house at 60 is some kind of taboo. As if owning a car at 50 is some kind of taboo. And that's a society that we are living in. We have trapped ourselves in a cage, you know, with the definitions of success, of a good marriage, of a good man, of a good woman that we've created. And I think, now that you speak of marriage, for me, marriage is a decision I made out of the, you know, wanting to fit the definition of a noble man. So, girl gets pregnant, and what would a noble man do in this case? Take responsibility and marry this person. So ignore all the other things that constitute, you know, a good marriage. Do you know this person well enough? No. Do you even love this person? You asked me very valid questions and I remember you telling me, if you're doing this because of certain reasons, you won't be happy. I just said, you know what, you know, to hell with that. I went ahead to fit a certain picture. To date, I think that's one of the biggest cases of trying to fit into society that I've ever had in my life. Take responsibility, be a noble man, but are you happy though? No. And it still brought me back to point A, maybe even way beyond point A. Being stuck in a place where you are not content, not fulfilled, not happy. And that's a very common case. How many marriages out there have been created just because the two people, or one of the two people, wants to fit a certain picture. They want to look a certain way to their family, or to their partner's family, or to the rest of the world. They want to look like, I'm a good person to the world, but a bad husband to your partner, or a good person to the world, but a bad wife to your partner. And that's a very common thing.
It's funny. Most times it's women who actually do that in a marriage. Like it's a common member saying, "Quicker lavana," you know.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be in a bad marriage, you'll be unhappy, and at the end of the day, you're being told you're doing it for the kids. And this is something that I was told when I was in my marriage. At some point, I actually caught my husband cheating. You know, like red-handed, yes. You don't remember that story?
Yeah, I think
the
I
woman
do.
in the Southwest, yeah.
Yeah.
So I catch him cheating, red-handed, and I'm still a kid. I have to process this. So I go back home. I go back home to my mom's, and then I say, I'm not going back that side. You know, I found this person, and this person was with another person, and this is what cut. I am not going back. For me, it was like, finally, this is my chance to get out of this. And then his family come over kangaroo court with my family. And I blatantly said, I'm not going back. I don't want to go back. And apparently that was really embarrassing. Like I embarrassed my family. No. Yes, I embarrassed my family because I said no. So they go away, and while they're going, I hear this in my presence. They're being told, oh, we'll just give her another week. We'll talk to her. Come back next weekend. I'm sure by then she would have, you know. So now in that week, another kangaroo court that constitutes of elder sisters and mom, and you know. And now I'm being told left, right, and center, you have kids. Kids need their parents. They need both parents to grow well, you know. And I'm thinking in my head, okay, so wait, kids are supposed to live with a cheating father, an unhappy mom. Like, what is this what marriage is about? So I have to suffer the emotional torture that I'm going through because kids? How is this even possible? So you have kids. It was rammed down my throat. And at the end of the day, the next weekend, these people came and I was told, you have to say you're going back. And I went back, and for me that was like, okay, so this is what society is. This is what family does. It's a whole trap, you know. At the end of the day, you're not even living life for yourself. Mm-hmm. You have to live apparently now for the kids. You have to be stuck in an unhappy marriage for your mom or your siblings, or I don't know, because the neighbors will laugh at your family if you come back. I know women who are stuck in marriages because, well, my mom doesn't want me to go back home. She doesn't want society or her friends to look at her as a person whose daughter came back from a marriage. And like guys, we're living in the 21st century. How does it matter? It's about your happiness, you know? Yeah, and even him, I think at that point, if he was cheating, maybe he didn't want to be with me. But then his family sits him down and says, look, now you're married, now you've got this woman, now. I wish people could just live life for themselves, you know? Yeah.
I think the societal pressure still comes down to family, and when we are young, I feel even in today's world, it's still happening where you see a child and you start planting ideas into the child's mind of what you expect of them, and so you tell them, you know, indirectly or directly, that they should follow your footsteps. I've seen families where the whole family is in the health sector, or the whole family are teachers, from the parents all the way to the last born, and they're all teachers, and those are huge cases, you know, where a child is told what they expect of them, and so they have no other choice. They can't think outside that box. They're put inside a little cage where the parents constantly tell them what is expected of them. I grew up wanting to be as successful as dad, and those rich, yes, and that's something that was planted. A lot of times, walk like him, talk like him, do this like him. Your father was this, your father was that. So the picture that I had of success, the picture that I had of what it means to be, successful, to be a real man, was him. Even though I didn't grow up with him, he still was the template of success to me. And that happens in today's world. And so you grow up having this picture of fulfillment that actually doesn't bring fulfillment to you. And by the time you realize that you are not even living your life, you are not thinking as you, speaking as you, it's you're already grown, and maybe it's too late. But I don't believe it's ever too late.
Yeah, I was talking to, I can't remember who that was, but she told me that she went into a certain field because her mom advised her to. And then her mom later died, and one day their dad sat them down and said, it's not too late to change if you don't like the field that you're in. And she said, I wish he had told me this sooner, because growing up, I was mostly close with my mom, and everything, like advice, what I should be, what I should do, what I should study, came from my mom. But then later when she was dead, my dad actually said, if you want to be, let's say she studied
for example,
law, yes, and then her dad says, what do you really want to do? And then she says, I actually wanted to be a pharmacist. And then he said, you can still do that, And says, I wish I had actually heard this sooner. And I try as much as possible to do this with my kids. I ask them, okay, so what do you want to do? Just, I think last month, one of them, because she kept on talking about how she wants to be a pediatrician. So I said, okay, you really have to have patience, because that's kids. She said she loves kids. Why do you want to be a doctor? She said, because the people around me spoke highly of it. So I said, okay, so you're doing it because the people say it's okay to be a doctor, but if you don't have the passion, if you're not even okay seeing blood, how are you going to do it? And she says, no, it's because, I was told it's a great job, it's noble like you wanting to getting into a marriage that you could have just, yeah. So I said, no, you have to think about it between now and the time you finish school. Think about it. If you really want to be a doctor, or you can do other things, it's okay to do other things. We have examples of Kofi, the musician, who, because his parents really wanted him to study, was it accounts? He did, and then after that he said, okay, here's my degree, I've gotten it, here dad, here mom, and then he went on.
I'm going to do my own thing now.
Yes, he went on and became a musician. But I'm sure people will say, this is Zambia, you have to
be realistic.
You have to, okay, so I'm in grade 12, what am I going to do? I have to help out my mom and whatever. Okay, fine, I'll just go quickly to nursing school. But is that really what you wanted to do, or are you doing it for your family? Okay, this guy has been pursuing me for how many, maybe Kwatu, people don't get married, let me be the first to get married. How? Why are you even getting married? Are you getting married to please your family? Are you getting married to be happy with someone, to form a happy union? Like, why are you doing that? Yeah. So I've also had a bit of pressure, but for me, most of the pressure came from during the marriage, and then it was even during my time when I was during my time at church, yes, which I don't talk about a lot. For there, I found the pressure to be perfect. I liked church. I loved going to church. I loved being with like-minded people. But I found out that I had to present a certain perfection that I couldn't just maintain, forever. Humans are meant to be imperfect, We're supposed to make mistakes. We're supposed to understand when other people fall. So I found out that pressure was just too much for me. And for me, really, Even if diamonds are formed out of pressure, I'd rather not be a diamond. I'd rather just, just stop. So the marriage part, the church part, work-wise, really, I haven't really had pressure because I've been in different industries, which is really, really great for me, I think. But I haven't really had pressure to really, really conform to society, work-wise or career-wise. Yeah.
For me, I think like most men, it's almost impossible to go through life without conforming and bowing down to societal expectations. Because from the time we are young, we are told certain things that men should do and things that men shouldn't do. Amongst them is the famous one: men don't cry. Men don't show weakness, even though it's part of your humanity. You're still instructed to not show that weakness. And men shouldn't portray their emotions, and so we grow up not knowing how to handle our emotions. We grow up suppressing our emotions and bottling them up, and that doesn't mean that they go away. They're there, you just don't know how to deal with them, and at some point in life they'll come out and you still won't know how to deal with them. And that's the case with a lot of us men. We go through life trying to fit this macho image of a man that society has given us. A man should be aggressive, a man should be, even in movies, and Hollywood has taught us that a man, takes it by force. A man, is one that fights, responds to hurt by fighting, responds to pain by fighting back. They don't show the emotional part of men. So we grow up with a very, very distorted image of what a man should be like, and that's me and most of you men out there. We don't know how to handle our emotions, not at all. The ones that know learned in their adult life, and the ones that are knowing like me that are learning in our adult lives, but we never were taught how to handle our emotions.
I have a question that has been built up by what you've said. So one other thing that men are taught is they should be providers, and then now we have an era where we see men that we call the kept men. Yeah, the ones that feed off women and men. So how does that go as a man to ask for help from a woman? I've seen posts where men write anonymously and they complain about having a partner that's working, and maybe they're down on their luck, they're not working, so they stay home, and then they feel some type of emasculation because it's the woman that's working and they are not. So these are two different scenarios. There's the man who actually
is being kept,
kept man. The kept man.
Yeah.
The one who who's just kept. He wants to be
and
kept.
The one that
and then there's the one that's there's the one that's they're down on their luck and they feel emasculated because their woman is working and they don't have any sort of income. Is it so hard for a man to accept help, to just, if a woman has been groomed, and I will say groomed because women are groomed to be homemakers. You can work, but at the end of the day, the man will have to provide. And that's why we have women who say, even if I make my own money, at least just spoil me a bit. Yeah. Because that's what we're raised as. We want to be taken care of. So why is it so difficult for a man to be down on their luck but still feel emasculated? Why isn't it okay for them to? Why do they think society will judge them if they're being helped by their own partner?
I think it still comes down to the definition of what a man should be, what a real man is, that society has painted and has written down. The man that feels emasculated because he's down on his luck. He's not working, and his woman is working. She has a good job, and he's at home, and he feels emasculated because he's not fitting the picture of a real man that society has painted. He is far from the definition of a man that society has painted. And both of these men in these two scenarios are men that have not accepted that weakness is part of a man's being. Weakness is part of any human's being. These are men that think being a man is all about being strong. Sorry, I scratched that from my definition of a man. Whether weak or strong, still a man. Both are part of what a man should be. The weakness and the strength are both part of every human being. But these are men that just want to accept one part without the other. And both these things come in the same package. So you have a package of weakness and strength, but you just want the strength part of it. You just want the part that defines a man as strong. So when the other part kicks in, the weakness, you're in denial, you get depressed, your mental health, deteriorates, and now you are failing to accept what actually is reality. And it's okay for a man to cry. It's okay for a man to be weak. It's okay for a man to be hurt. It's okay for a man to need help, even from his partner. It's okay. That's something I've accepted, but if I didn't accept it, I'd probably be one or both of those two people in those scenarios.
Okay. So we have pressure to conform. We have pressure from family. Have you had any pressure from family?
Yes, I have. I have.
Okay.
I have a lot.
Right.
From family? Yes. I'll talk about it. What other pressure do you have?
So we have family, we have friends, we have from parents, because family could be your siblings, and then you have different pressure from your parents. We have from work, and then we have from even just neighbors. We have people who will act a certain way because they don't want their neighbors to view them as unhappy or whatever. So we have, I think it's even just walking down the street, I'll get looks, I'll get stares because of how I present and whatever. But well, thank God for headsets. So I really don't care. But even just like the minute you just wake up and you leave your house, you leave your bed, you have pressure. You have pressure from even your kids. I have pressure from society about, oh look, maybe how she is as a mom raising her kids like this. You have pressure everywhere just to act or be a certain way. But again, at the end of the day, whose life are we living? Am I living my life? Am I supposed to live my life to your expectations? Should I act a certain way because you expect me to act a certain way? Because I'm a woman and a woman should behave this way, It's really so tiring. So your pressure from family.
My pressure from family is don't worry, family.
I wasn't going to ask that.
I'm a creative. I work with sound. I've always loved sound since I was young. Ever since I was a little kid back in Westwood, Lusaka West, I've always loved sound and music, and I've always known that whatever I'll become, whatever I was going to become, will have something to do with sound, music, and the media. I remember when just after high school and a couple of years later, I was being enrolled into. I applied for certified accounting technician at NIPA, and that's something that I have zero passion about. That's something that I was never going to complete. Thank God for that arrest that happened during the week. I was supposed to report and everything. Yes, I was arrested, and then all of that was taken away. It seems like you still want to play, so this is not going to happen. For me, that was a blessing because I was being pushed into something that I had no passion about. And I remember when I decided studio music production, words were spoken. This is not going to take you anywhere. You hit a dead end. It won't take you anywhere. This and that. And I still went ahead with that studio in Komboka Market. You used to visit it. I had a couple of people come through. Wasn't making much, but the fact that I was doing it, with these young people making music, that brought fulfillment to me. And it's this same studio that taught me my production skills, which later got me recommended at my current workplace, Radio Christian Voice, where I've been working for 7 years. It's this same production that got me here, and I have zero regrets about the decision that I took and following my passion. I have no regrets, and it has taught me that at the end of the day, what brings fulfillment to you matters the most. Society has its own expectations. Just because it worked for, Jane, they expect it to work for Joan, but they're two different journeys, two different people, and two different things that bring fulfillment to the both of them, to each of them. And society has created this one size fits all template of what fulfillment is, of what happiness is, of what success is. And so people find themselves following that template, trying to fit that image, that picture, and in the end they end up depressed. And I can bet all my 10 fingers on this: if I followed that other journey, if I followed what family was saying, if I studied that course, I would have been a very, very frustrated person. And I don't regret the path I've taken.
I have actually seen people that seem as successful to society, but are actually unhappy on the inside because the path they took is not what they wanted to take. And it's really sad. I feel, okay, so where's the fulfillment? Is the fulfillment in pleasing your family or pleasing your wife? Where's the fulfillment? Is it in the paycheck? But if you're going to get a paycheck and you're not really happy about what you're doing, just last week I was quoting this scripture to somebody, and funny, they didn't know it. I told them, the Bible actually says where your heart is where your money lies.
No.
And these people didn't know the scripture, and I was like, Google it. It was one of my favorite scriptures back then, when I was Christian, because there's no way you're going to get a paycheck and you don't love what you do. You should have a passion. Your passion should make you money. That's how it should go. You should get into marriage because you're in love and you love the person, and your union should be happy. You shouldn't get married because
you expected to marry before 30.
Yes. Oh, look. At some point I used to feel some type of way because most of my peers don't have kids as old as I do, so I started feeling some type of way. I was like, okay, so I had kids young, okay, so I was married up. Most of the stages of my life have been discombobulated, I'm at some point where I'm with you and I'm thinking, oh, okay, I'm not, if you're my peer, I'm not that much older than this one, or maybe we're the same age, but I seem to have done or gone through stuff that they haven't been, and I feel some type of way, and I feel, okay, maybe I shouldn't be with these, maybe I should hang out with the older ones who actually have kids my age. But when I get there also, it's their passion is, or what they expect from society is also different. So I flit through life trying to fit in spaces that can't really accommodate me. And then at the end of the day, I find this space and I just say to myself, okay, you know what? It's fine. They might not have kids as old as I have. They might not have gone through the marriage. They might not have gone through the stuff that I have. But, well, they don't expect me to be this person at my age or for the woman that I am. And it's fine, So I think also having peers that will just accept you, push you in the right way, nicely, not really, oh no, but you should be married. Because I've had friends who irritatingly tell me, you're still young, you will still get married. Like, okay, why are we still talking about marriage? Like, who today still want to get married? You know, like, why are we still talking about that? I appreciate marriage, but marriage should be happy and shouldn't be the ultimate goal. Why don't you tell me something like, oh, you're still young, you can still go study? Because when I was young, I really wanted to be a lawyer. I don't know why. Maybe because I like justice and stuff. So if you can come here and tell me, okay, what was your passion? Maybe you can still study law or something. Yes, but just don't expect me to be 40 and at that point again be married, you know, because I'm a woman and that's the woman's ultimate goal. Like, yeah, no. So yeah.
All right. Societal expectations. I feel like things like, you know, poor mental health and frustration and depression are things that are born out of these expectations, especially if one is constantly trying to fit the definitions, the picture that society has created for different good things. One can find themselves competing even with people that are not in competition with them. One can find themselves competing, you know, with the person that just bought a brand new Range Rover, and I should also do that. What if you shouldn't? You will say you should, you know. One can find themselves competing with the person that just built themselves a house, you know, and they're thinking I should also do the same, and all because they are victims of this societal pressure. And in the end, when they fail to fit that picture or definition or even outdo the person they are competing with, they end up being frustrated and in most cases even depressed. So that's how far it can go. That's how dangerous it is to, you know, try to fit into society's expectations of you and I. It can actually lead you into depression, and there are people, a percentage of people who have actually ended their lives.
Yeah, I was going to say it even causes. It's one of the causes of suicide because this person will be trying to fit in this box, trying to live up to people's standards, trying to live up to people's expectations, and then eventually when they can't, and they can't talk to anyone because, well, they're a well put together man, and they can't talk to anyone. What do? They take their own life. I've seen cases of that happen where, because someone really tried to impress. They tried to impress society, they tried to impress family, they tried to impress their friends, they tried to live a life that they really didn't want to live or couldn't even handle. They get to a point where it's just too much and then they take their own life. And at that point you're thinking, okay, what was wrong with just taking off the mask? What was wrong with just telling people I can't do this anymore? This is not who I am. This is not who I was meant to be. I think I have another path to walk. So, like, why do we have to get to a point where we are depressed or where we have constant anxiety and our mental health is really deteriorating? Why do we have to get to a point like that instead of just saying, sod it, I'm done.
I'm done.
Yeah.
It's okay, especially for men. It's okay to say, okay, I'm scared. It doesn't make you less of a man. It's okay to say.
Are you sure men can say it's okay? I'm scared.
A lot of men can't because of the picture and image they're trying to maintain. But it really is okay to say I'm scared. It's okay to say, right now, I have no idea what to do. I have no clue where to go. I don't have a plan. You are at a higher chance of getting help that way than pretending to have it all together, than pretending to be the man you're pretending to be. You have a higher chance of getting all the help you have by just admitting that something's wrong and I don't have what it takes to correct it. You're at a better place when you say, I have a problem, I need help, that way. But that is not what society is preaching. Society is preaching that if you're a man, you should have it all together. That if you're a man before the age of 30, you should have bought that plot, built a house, bought a car before the age of 30 or slightly after the age of 30. You should be married. That you can only date her for this long and then get down on your knee. After that, you're not really doing what it takes.
There's the pressure on social media on how to propose. Have you seen all these proposals flying?
Oh yes. What's wrong with doing what the older people did? The past
just
generations.
what you want. What you want? Like why don't you just propose how you want?
Why can't you be the two of you where nobody else is without a cameraman on standby? Why can't it be a story that you have to pass down to your children and they pass it down to your children? Why does it have to be on social media? Why can't you just do what you want? If all that flashy, rose petals and works for you, well and good. And helicopters. But if it doesn't, why can't you just do what you want? Why not do what brings fulfillment to you? Just you.
And for the women, it's the pressure to marry. The pressure to marry, like the pressure to marry and the pressure to stay married. You find so many women going through so many things. Like every day I'm reading these stories and I'm like, why are you staying? But why are you staying? But why are you staying? And at the end of the day, you find comments from other women saying, don't leave. These people telling you to leave are just telling you that they're also bitter. They're just bitter. They also want marriages. But at the end of the day, if it comes at the expense of your mental health, why are you staying? Like I admitted, I did stay. I was pressured into going back so many times, and into holding a union that I really didn't want. I didn't want to be in. And I couldn't understand why should I stay married? And back then, maybe back then we can say it was still common for people to say, and then if you're a divorced woman, then you're a disgraced woman. But it's funny because what came later also carried disgrace. What I was experiencing during the marriage carried disgrace. So if this is an ongoing pattern of disgrace, I think I would rather be divorced. The disgrace that will go off. I don't think in these days divorce carries as much disgrace, because I see women even asking for procedures on how to get a divorce, how to go about it, and I'm really happy. I'm like, yay! If you're going to be happy and divorced, do it, girl. Do it for you. Instead of staying in a union where, because you think if you go back to your parents, then you're going back with shame. I don't think I'm ever going to allow any of my kids to stay in an unhappy marriage. If they just come and tell me they're unhappy, I'll tell them, okay, you can come and chill here. Stay here for a while. You can make up your mind if you still want to go back. But anytime you feel it's really, really putting pressure on your mental health, you can really come back. Because I've seen it wasn't. I thought it was only me, but I've had conversations with women that will tell me they can't go back because they're afraid of disappointing their moms. They're afraid. But at the end of the day, it's your life, really. Your parents have lived their lives and are still living their lives. Your siblings have their own lives to live. Your friends have their own lives to live, and they're living their life. Society is going about living their life while you're sitting there worrying about how they're going to judge you. It's your life. Do you? If you started out as a pharmacist and in the middle of that this will sound like someone, you want to be a model, go and do that. If it makes you happy, do it. If you started out as an accountant and at the end of the day you felt, okay, no, really, I just want to do fish farming, go do it. If it's going to make you happy and it's not going to hurt anyone or harm anyone, do it. That's what I feel. If you're staying in a marriage because, oh no, people think I've got a well put together life, but it's at the cost of your mental
and emotional health.
My sister, no.
Kim Blackmaid says, our parents needed to learn that there's more to life than a girl growing up and getting married, or rather being groomed for a man to be accepted. Blessed to everyone trying to change that. Matandasi Mangaliswa says, social norms, and in this case, cultural norms, are what make us feel society will look at us some type of way. if we behaved in a certain way, I remember being called and taught because I did something that a woman is not supposed to do. LOL. Thank you for this talk. Lombeta Palesa Kilepa says, I wonder why people always feel that men have to conceal their emotions, considering that we are all human. They hurt, cry, feel sad. The emotions we have as females, so do the men have. Let's learn to protect each other. Kim Blackmate comes back and says, my sister really needed to hear this. I have tried to talk to her for the longest, but maybe if she heard it from someone else's point of view. Margaret Schumer says, very insightful. Taga, yes, Taga. Thelma Zulu Daka says, even I would rather be just a stone than.
Should rather be what?
A stone.
One commander.
Fider says, learning. Thelma Zulu Daka, love emojis. And this one says, thank you for this by Teresa Kalenga. Milkway says, good morning. And Amanda Mafase says morning, and Angela Manza says watching. Chikosela, thank you for tuning in. And Katebe says good morning, Fave Pair. Alright, and Kiara Kari says watching. Simbiaro Chenda, thank you for tuning in. And those are some of the comments that we have. Share the video, remember to share the video, and King Blackmate, tag your sister.
Tag your sister. Cultural
norms. Yeah.
Cultural norms also add a lot to what a girl should grow into as a woman. You know, social media of late has been ablaze with stories of, well, people are speaking out now about stories that they go through. Amafunde, as they're called, the teachings, you know. Mm-hmm. And I've been seeing most of the stuff, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, people are waking up and are realizing this shouldn't be happening. I had an experience where, as a young, because really I was a young wife really, and then we moved to Kombok, and a neighbor of mine came and said, oh, my boyfriend dumped me because this and this and this and this. I was like, okay, wait. Because of that, and then they said yes, because, and this person wasn't even Zambian, but they had lived in Zambia for a long time to know that, oh, a Zambian woman should do this or should have this, or, you know. And then he decided to dump, and I said, okay, now this is what's wrong with society. These things will seep into the minds of people, and they will think that is the norm, you know. If you went to a different setting, you move to the Western world. Are you sure what you are supposed to be as a woman is what you're going to find there? No. So that's why I think it's alright just to break these cultural norms. It's alright to break these traditional norms, because I always say we can pick the good out of the traditional teachings, but most of it really is just work.
I feel like, you know, earlier on we talked about, you know, things like things that are born out of societal and cultural expectations, like the patriarchy. I feel it's possible for people to fight things like the patriarchy while still supporting, you know, the norms that enable it. You know, and it's possible for people to speak against the patriarchy while supporting cultural norms that actually enable the patriarchy. And I feel like the patriarchy is one of the biggest things that are born out of expectations, because just like we said earlier on, the biggest victims of societal pressure are women. And if societal expectations or society expects women to be men to be strong, rather, automatically it expects women to be weak. If society expects men to make it, automatically it expects women to achieve less. If society expects men to be, you know, aggressive and get it all, then automatically it expects women to just sit still and not do anything and not get it at all. You know, so it's very possible to support norms that enable the patriarchy while speaking against it.
Yeah, a woman can go through abuse and then she'll be expected to just swallow it, because one of the forms of teachings that you go through as a wife is that one way is the one where you put water in your mouth or something.
Oh yes, that they put water, usually hot water, in your mouth.
Yes, because you should go through things and
throw in substitute.
yes,
Expect you not to answer back.
yes. So you will go through fire, but you should learn how to endure it, how to which I think I'm probably looking a little sad today. Which
yeah, why is that?
Which because the past week I've heard 2 cases of kids being molested, and this is by people from the husband's family, and then these families are both funny enough, both have kind of threatened the mothers to the kids to keep quiet. And I'm thinking, okay, so this is pressure again, this is pressure for a woman to either pick the right thing or pick what society wants.
Expects.
And society expects that you should hold your marriage together, and this is one way you're going to hold it, by not bringing disunity. And this is pressure on
protecting their children would automatically mean, destroying the family.
Yes, and this is pressure on a woman in a marriage, and you want to keep your marriage, but then you don't want to bring disunity in your husband's family, and all this, it's so much pressure on women. When do men step up and talk for their kids? Because at the end of the day, it's women who bear the brunt of raising kids. So when do men step up and actually talk for the children? When do they talk for their wives? When do they talk for their wives against their family? Because at the end of the day, if you speak for your wife against me, it's going to be, okay, you chose your wife over me, you chose you. It's so much pressure, Why don't people just do the right thing? I think sometimes conforming to society is actually not the right thing. It might look like the right thing.
In most cases, it's not. Just because the rest of society expects it to happen doesn't make it the right thing. Just because society expects it to be the one thing that happens doesn't automatically mean it's the right thing to do.
Yeah. So there's so much pressure on women from the time we're really just born. From the time we're born, really. If we have to bring cultural norms in this, you're a baby, a whole little baby. What's supposed to happen to you? Is it the first 7 days? In some cultures, even our culture, Zambian culture, I'm sure people are still doing this, where the mother has to squirt some breast milk on the baby's private parts, because she has to grow up to be a sweet woman. Already, you're just a day-old baby. There's the pressure to perform as a woman when you grow up,
That's a real thing?
Yes.
Wow.
So you're a baby. You start growing into a toddler. You're being told you should sit this way. You should talk this way. Girls should not play with this. Girls should dress this way. You from toddlerhood, you're 8, 9. Still, it's girls should do this. Girls shouldn't do that. I was told girls shouldn't cut their hair, and I really, really like cutting my hair. Girls shouldn't cut their hair a certain way. Girls shouldn't do this. And I think at the end of the day, when I finally decided to shave my sides, for me that was like the ultimate act of freedom for me. It was like, okay, because I remember once I was at the mall with a relative, and this girl passed us, and she had shaved sides, and by then it wasn't really common. And I looked at it and I was like, wow, she really looks cool. And this relative was like, Fiabu Kulefi. And in my head I'm like, okay, there I was thinking it really looks cool, and then okay, the people around me think this is, so when I actually did it, I was like, yeah, finally I can actually do this and love myself. So anyway, as I was saying, then you become a teenager. You have to walk a certain way, you have to talk a certain way, you have to sit a certain way, you have to dress a certain way, because at the end of the day, you were born to please a certain type of people. It's so much pressure. So much pressure. I was having a conversation with Naomi yesterday. We're talking about how sometimes women will allow things to happen to them because they have been groomed in a way that I'll give an example. I was at a gathering some time back, and then a man came and put his hand here on me. So I picked his hand and put it back, you know. So we had a conversation, and then I told him I didn't appreciate that. So he goes and sits next to someone, and I could see this person was uncomfortable when the man put his hand on her thigh. Uncomfortable, like really uncomfortable, like, you know, she was pulling away. But she could not say stop, like leave me alone. And later I asked her, because I said, I chipped in, I said, stop touching her. Like, can't you see you're making her uncomfortable? No, I didn't know. Cause she... So after he left, I said, why didn't you tell him? Because she said, thank you. I said, why didn't you tell him that he was making me uncomfortable? They said, you know, you're talking back. Okay. I said, okay. All right. So you've been taught that women should not speak back. They should not speak out. There's a certain way you should carry yourself around men. It's just so much pressure, really. It's really just so much pressure. I wish we could just be, people could be taught from childhood that, you know, be you, do what you want, dress how you want, let people be, just let people, live and let live, you know? Yeah.
All right. Time is 11:18, and we have to say our goodbyes and parting remarks. But in my conclusion, I've observed that societal expectations, in a lot of ways, have a lot of double standards, and you know. 1 minute I'll speak for the men. 1 minute you want a woman who can't talk back. Next minute you want a woman who challenges your thinking, challenges, you know, who has a spine. That's a double standard already, and I've been there. 1 minute you want a woman who fits society's definition of being submissive. Next minute you want someone who's, you know, a partner, you know, right by your side, you know, bringing ideas to the table, and in most cases these two don't even mean the same thing. So societal expectations in a lot of ways have a lot of double standards, and if you get stuck, you get trapped between those double standards, you end up being one of the most depressed people on earth, because it will make you not even know who you are, lose your entire identity in all of those double standards. And why can't you just be you? Why can't you just, you know, do you? Why can't you just do what makes you happy? Do what brings fulfillment to you? And until you get to that place, you will keep wandering through this journey called life, very, very unhappy, sad, and most likely depressed.
Well, for me, I had a conversation yesterday with a young girl, and she came and she approached me and she said, okay, she's not a young girl, she's a lady, I think. Anyway, so she approached me and she said, I noticed how you introduced yourself so proudly, that you're a feminist, you know. So I said, yes, because that is a badge that I wear proudly, and it's something that I have noticed that throughout the years, people would try to use it as an insult. But it's funny, if you don't understand feminism, then yeah, you will try to use it as an insult towards me. But it's, for me, it's really a compliment. So she says, I really want to know how I can speak to my mom about just being me. I work in a space where there's men, and sometimes, like lots of men, it's dominated by men. So sometimes even my boss will come and ask me for advice, but at the end of the day, he's going to take the guy's advice. He'll never take my advice. So I'm trying to fit into a space from home, work. I'm trying to fit into a space where I just want to validate myself, you know? Mm-hmm. And I said, you know what, do you go home, tell your mom times have changed, because in this day and age, I don't think people will say, no, but men will not like this, you know? You don't talk like that, you don't talk back. Men will not like it. And I was shocked. I said, people still say that? And then she says, yeah. So I said, okay, do it in a respectful manner. I'm not saying go home and shout. Sit and just maybe one day when you're joking, talk to your mom and say, look, times have changed. Women are more assertive. Women can make their own decisions. Women can do other things without thinking that a man will not like it or will like it, you know. And she was like, I really hope to get to that point. And I went away feeling really bad because we didn't finish that conversation. I didn't even get her name. But I felt really bad. I said, okay, so this child is going through the pressure again, through the pressure to perform, through the pressure to conform, through the pressure to be perfect, home life, work life. Like, isn't that just too much work? So yeah, I'm glad I'm one of the people that don't have that pressure. I really don't like conforming to society, conforming to what people believe or think I should believe. I just really like being my own person, and at the end of the day, I think there's a reason why we have the gray matter between our ears. We need to use it to think, you know, make our own decisions, be our own people. Yeah, so that's me signing off.
All right, and we'll be having more conversations like this, and be sure to share the page and invite your friends. This is Boldcast. My name is Nicholas, but you can call me Nick.
I'm Theo, the fierce feminist.
Peace out.